So let's just take a few moments. I want to start with something relatively new that I'd like to share with you, and then talk a little bit about fascia. But I think let's just open by just quieting down and arriving, and maybe coming into just a presence of the breathing. Many things we can explore with the breath in this particular practice, but really just to breathe in a long, slow, and deep way, to start to really feel that this gift of breathing is really not only quite sacred, but has just an incredible amount of intelligence and depth, and an incredible capacity to connect you to yourself in ways that we really cannot put into words. So just breathe and feel it and appreciate it. And we'll just start with that. We start with a deep honoring and a deep respect for our breathing. And now the exploration of yoga. And I really want to encourage you to put this time aside for it to be an exploration. So often this entails, putting aside things that that we may think are relevant, but unless we make some space, we can't be sure. So really the primary function of yoga is to explore ourselves, whether we define that as our life and our relationships, or our body, our mind, our heart, but to explore ourselves as a sense of flow. And what I mean by that, not that we're separate from this flow. It's as if we were, sitting on a riverbank and just watching a river flow by, and all sorts of things in the river. Yes, there's fish flowing by, and sticks and leaves and currents and ripples and foam. And we can neither create the flow, or can we stop the flow? And the real meditation is when we have the realization that we are the flow, and that everything is passing, everything that is moving, everything that is arising in our perceptions, in our thoughts, in our feelings, is just part of this flow. And we don't have to create it, and we don't have to stop it or control it or fix it. And this is really the meditation. It's just emerging with this sense of flow. And then the exploration is whatever comes up. Sometimes there's things that appear to be obstacles or appear to increase our sense of flow, and then we just stay open to exploring this. So it's always lovely to have a dedicated time and space to really explore ourselves and see, just see what's up in many different ways. So we use these postures as part of that exploration, as part of that framework. So I'll talk more about the framework. But what I would like to start with is, I'd like to start with this thing. I've been working with this for a while, and sometimes I'll do that before I present something. I just sort of experiment on myself, and this is for neck mobility. And this is for everyone. It doesn't matter what you do, who you are. If you have a chair, if you have a computer, if you have a car, if you live in the modern world, you need to do this. And after we do it, I also want to encourage you that this is something that's very effective. I've been doing this every single day, sometimes twice a day. It only takes 3 minutes. It's 6 quick exercises, 30 seconds each, so 3 minutes. And it's very similar to what I often show and encourage people to stand on one foot and balance with the eyes open and then close the eyes, and how powerful that is for the vestibular system if it's done consistently. Yes, not just once in a while in a class. So it's the same thing with this. If you are able to incorporate this and do this consistently, it just opens up the neck in a way it's hard to explain. After maybe about a week of doing this, I noticed it, and so I just kept doing it, and I'm really going to encourage you to seriously explore this. So you just have to sit up. And if you're sitting with your legs crossed and just sitting with your legs out, sit on something so you can tilt the pelvis forward. The main thing is we want the spine straight and relaxed. You could also sit up on a bolster or a couple of pillows and bend the knees back if you prefer that. So, you need to be able to see my head, huh? Oh no, okay, that's not gonna work. It's too high. Okay, this is perfect. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm just gonna go through them, the 6 of them, just so I can say a few things about them and bring some details to it. And then we'll go through it and we'll do each one for 30 seconds. So we're not doing it and you're trying to understand or see what I'm doing. So we can just really take the 3 minutes and do it. Very, very simple. Really meant to be done within the your natural range of motion. So we're not trying to go into areas where it's like, ow, oh, that hurts, that feels unsafe. Just whatever you're feeling sensation wise, just lean into it, lean out of it, lean into it. Again, the real effectiveness here is from the consistency of it. So the first thing is just get your spine straight, sit in a relaxed way. So it's nice and relaxed. And then we're going to start by just bringing the bottom of the chin so it's parallel to the floor. So the head isn't heading down here right away. Yep. And the first one is simply to bring the chin towards the shoulder, the head side to side. So we'll just lean into whatever you're feeling, back and forth, very simple, nothing mysterious here. Yep. So that's the first one, side to side. The second one is we're going to then tuck the chin down and then bring the chin up. But what I'm going to encourage you to do is hinge more from the top of the spine, not just drop the head back and crunch into the upper spine. So after you bring the chin down, you're bringing the head up, kind of pull up from the upper part of the top part of the spine. So up and down, chin up, chin down. So that will be the second one. Yep. The third one will be head side to side, but bringing the ear up. So we're not going to bring here the left ear to the left shoulder. Instead, we're going to think, as we bring the head to the side, we're going to think right ear up towards the sky. So to get this right part of the neck. And then when the head goes to the other shoulder, so not right ear to right shoulder, but left ear up to the sky. So you're going to feel it in this left part of the neck. So again, the head will go side to side, but with the emphasis on pulling the ear up to the sky, ear up to the sky, ear up to the sky. Yep. Fourth one will be then to, I don't know if you can really see it, but what we're going to do is we're going to jut the chin and the head out over the shoulder and then pull it back. So you're kind of like making some double or triple chins here. So pulling the head in and then extending it out. And what I'm going to suggest is we just put our hands on, when we do it, we'll put our hands on our chest so we don't get the chest and the upper body too involved. It's just head extends out, chin back and in, head out, head back and in, head out, head back and in. Yep. So that's number 4. Number 5 is, for me, this is the trickiest one. We're just going to keep the head straight, keep the eyes straight, keep the bottom of the chin parallel to the floor, and just bring the head side to side to side to side. So nothing, we're not tilting the head in any way. We're just simply bringing the whole head to the left, the whole head to the right. No twist except the head going left and right. This was a tricky one for me. Then the sixth one will be, again, to bring the right ear up to the sky, not left ear to the left shoulder, and then we'll let the chin drop and do a half circle forward. We won't do full circle. And then I'll roll the chin over and then bring left ear up towards the sky. And then again, tuck the chin down and roll the head back to the left side, right ear up, roll the head. So it's just a little bit of an emphasis, instead of dropping the head with the ear to the shoulder, is to kind of pull on this left side as we pull the left ear up towards the sky. Okay, so I'm going to get my timer in front of me, and we're just going to go through it 3 quick minutes, and I won't say too much more about them as we're doing them, so you can more concentrate on doing them. So again, get yourself comfortable and let the bottom of the chin be parallel to the floor. And we're going to start the first one just bringing the head side to side. So we're looking to the right, looking to the left, looking to the right, looking to the left. So the chin is moving towards the shoulder. The bottom of the chin stays parallel, not forcing it, not going too fast, not going too slow, just leaning into whatever you're feeling. Slow down if you want to, but a little bit of motion here is what we're after. Left to right, back and forth, and that's good. 30 seconds, nice and quick. Yep. The second one is we're going to tuck the chin down and then bring the chin up, but we're going to try to hinge more from the back of the skull, the top of the upper spine, not just let the head drop down and kind of crunch into the spine. So we'll start again with the chin level. This time put the hands on the chest so the chest doesn't get too involved. Chin down, chin up. Really lift out of the skull. Chin down and chin up. And just again, move at your own pace. Lean into it. We're exploring. We're not trying to get rid of anything, but just really interested in the range of motion of this neck mobility. Chin up, chin down, chin up. Yeah, and then good, we'll come back to neutral. Again, just quick 30 seconds. And you can do longer. I typically do a minute. So then it takes me 6 minutes. But whatever, seems to work, just experiment with it at first. So this time we're going to tilt the head side to side as if we were bringing the left ear to the left shoulder, but we're not thinking that. We're thinking right ear up towards the sky. Yeah, just a little bit of a distinction. Good. So let's go left, pull that right ear up. Let's go right, pull that left ear up. Left, pull the right ear up. And again, whatever pace, you don't have to stay at my pace, but at the end, it's nice to slow down. And really what I mean by lean into it is like, oh, there's the resistance. Feel that resistance, feel what's, holding all this tension in the neck and probably, of course, the shoulders as well. And then we'll bring the head back. Again, there's a quick 30 seconds. So this is the one, again, we'll keep the hands on the chest where we're going to bring the head forward without moving the shoulders. And then I'm saying the chin because it's sort of like this fat face where you're to pull all the way back in. Yeah. But I'm holding the chest so I don't bring the shoulders back, just the chin forward, head back, head forward, back. Good. Let's begin. So head forward, all the way out, head back, all the way in. Head forward, extend it, pull, tuck the chin in, pull back into it. Just be interested in any little nuanced places that you may not typically find when we're just doing straight on poses. And really pull it in, jut it out, pull it in, jut it out. Good. There's another 30 seconds gone by. So 2 more. This is the tricky one for me. We're going to keep again, hands on the chest is good. And we're just going to take the head without twisting, without dropping, and just bring it to the left side. Bring it to the right side. I think this is like a Sphinx pose, Sphinx something, or did Janet Jackson do this in the 80s or something? You know, head back and forth like that, but not the upper body. Okay, so let's do this. Yep, head to the left, head to the right, head to the left, head to the right. It's tricky because the head wants to twist. So if you have as limited range of motion as I do, it's going to be tricky. You may be able to get that head all the way over the shoulder, but see, my body's even wanting to go. I just find this one tricky, but it's effective. Yeah, try not to drop into the neck, but just pull the head to the side. Try not to keep an even line on the eyes. And then we'll come back to neutral. One more, just another quick 30 seconds. So this time we're going to, again, like we did the ear up and ear up, but this time we're going to make a half circle with the head. So bring the head to the left ear to left shoulder, but right ear up towards the sky. Drop the chin down, do a half circle to the other side. Left ear pulls up to the ceiling, and then drop the chin down, do a half circle in front. Right ear up to the ceiling, drop the chin down, half circle to the right, left ear pulls up, up, up. So you're feeling this down the left side of the neck more. Drop the chin down, half circle, and then bring the head back and up. And that's it. So I'll try to do this more often in class so we can get the whole thing. And hopefully this particular class will be on YouTube if you want to learn it, if you didn't catch the whole thing. But like I said, to do this on a daily basis is very effective. Okay, good. So let's open up the legs if you've been sitting or you have the knees back. And what I would like to do to begin is just to roll up a towel or a blanket. So I don't know how much you want to roll it up is up to you. We're going to place it in the lumbar and stay there for a while. So this first sequence that we're going to do is just a lengthy sequence of back and forward like we usually do. But I want you to slow down into it and not be in a rush. And if you get to a point where something feels a little compromised or too much, take it upon yourself to release, come out, take a rest, unroll your blanket, whatever you need to do. So always really, you're more on your timing than my timing. My timing is just the suggestion for the structure. So we're going to take a rolled blanket and put it in back of us and sit in front of it. And we'll do this side to side, hip to hip, what we might call horizontally across, not from the lower spine up. Always good to keep your feet on the floor when you're lowering into any kind of backward bend. And as you can see, I didn't really roll my whole blanket up. So I kind of know the height that works for me. The important thing is to really tuck it in as low as you can into the lumbar area without the buttocks coming off the floor. So if the buttocks are tipping up and the pelvis is tipping back, you can sort of scrunch down a little bit, or you may want to unroll the blanket a bit. And then we'll let the whole upper body come over. And then as you relax your legs down, this would be a good time to make sure your buttocks are on the floor. So you have just the right amount of compression to feel something, certainly, engage and explore sensation, but feel safe enough to relax. So we have always have a balance between relaxing and this therapeutic compression that we're applying. And that's, unique and personal to you. And then just make yourself comfortable, check in to see if you need to put a blanket over you. If you put something under the head, try not to let the chin tuck down and in and compromise the angle of the upper spine. It would be better if you're going to do something for the head to put a little something under the neck, not the back of the head, so you can support that lovely lumbar curve. again, going back and reconnecting with a long, slow, deep breath. And I don't necessarily mean to control it, more to just allow it, just to notice, what does your body want? How does this feel when you, give some attention to your breathing? When you become sensitive to really feel that, not only is there physical reaction content with our breathing, but certainly there is emotional and psychological content with our breathing. So it's a more of an allowing. I'm just allowing myself to calm my breath, to feel my breath, and to be available for any nuance, any resistance, anything that arises, any sense of connection. And I just wanted to say something about the fascia of the body, the connective tissue. I've been thinking a lot lately of, wanting to express, even just for myself, to kind of feel or understand the importance, the great importance of compressing into the body, the importance of maintaining the health of these tissues, of this connective tissue. And so there's many ways that we could approach this. The number of reactions that are going on in the system when we compress into these tissues is quite amazing. So, and fascia, connective tissue, and also in more recent research into this, amazing tissue, it's called the living matrix. So this is a beautiful way to think about it, is that your body, this fascia, this living matrix, is the most prominent and the most ubiquitous tissue in your body. It's everywhere in the body. So just to know that, this is a system that is everywhere. And that when we apply this compression, when we systematically and therapeutically apply compression, the entirety of your system is feeling levels and layers of reverberation. So this is good to know. And also very good to know that this living matrix, it's a semiconductor of electromagnetic energy. And it's also a generator of electromagnetic energy. So what this simply means is that this living matrix is where, and when we say electromagnetic energy in yoga, the Sanskrit would be prana, would be your basic aliveness. So here's a matrix, here's a connective tissue that's not only holding everything together, but separating organs and tissues and muscles and bones. And it's conducting the energy, it's allowing the energy to travel and communicate, but it's also generating it. And the way to understand this is that this living matrix is at the level of a liquid crystal. And if you think about, if you've seen those shoes that when you step on them, mostly children have them, they light up. Yeah, so this is a dynamic of a crystal. Certain kinds of crystal, when they're compressed, they generate this electricity. So this is precisely what's happening in our bodies. When we compress, this living matrix becomes a generator of electromagnetic energy. We're actually generating the life force within us. It's really quite beautiful. And just one other thing to keep in mind about this system. So certainly we understand, especially when we're doing these yoga poses, the structural aspect of it. Yes, we get out of alignment, or we have discomfort or pain. We feel a sense of dehydration in the body. This is very, very structural to this connective tissue, and the compression helps to soften and massage, have some movement, and work it out. So this is a good thing at this level, but also as a semiconductor, it's allowing information to travel through the systems of the body. This is, in a way, this living matrix is a reservoir that transfers information from the subconscious, if you will, to the rest of the body. So all of these processes that your organism goes through, that organizes itself, directs itself, how the organs communicate, how the food knows how to digest, how your brain sends signals to different parts of the body. This is all done at the level of this semiconductor energy, of this living matrix that's beyond anything we need to know about. And it just does it. It has this intelligence and this ability to transmit information in an organized and direct way. So the extent of the fascia, the connective tissue, is so incredibly wide-ranging. So we want to just feel this, that we're entering into the system of great intelligence, but the compression doesn't necessarily need to be interpreted as, ow, something's wrong. I wish I didn't have this pain in my lower back. No, no, no. This is a system that we want to find where these little blockages are. We want to find where these little resistances are and be conscious of them, work into them, because we're opening up a system, like I said, is not just to open us structurally, but at the level of information passing through, at the level of the movement of our primary electromagnetic energy, prana, life force. Good. So let's first bend the knees and put the feet on the floor. If you still have this roll across your lower back, and just move the knees gently side to side. So let's have just a little bit of movement to the left and the right of that lumbar spine. It's usually where a lot of the density tends to cluster. So just kind of feel that. And then if you're able to, and you want to start to bring the knees up, this is nice because it'll kind of press a little lower.
So if you're able to bring the knees up to the chest, and again, you can keep the movement left to right, and just kind of feel this. Just always slowly working this out. And then you can either put the feet back on the floor if you're able to elevate the hips and just pull this out. That's one way to do it. If not, with the feet on the floor, you can just start to roll off of it and just come off of it. So just come completely off of it. And we'll just take a little bit of time here. So you can either, stay on your side curled up. You can lay flat on your back. You can keep moving if you would like. But at some point, we want to come to a bit of stillness just to let the compression release. So what I was explaining about the benefits of the compression, now we want to feel that it can find its way. So it's in a very delicate kind of way. The compression is kind of squeezing in, getting into these nooks and crannies, these misalignments, these blockages, these dry areas. And then the release is allowing some reproduction of fluids, some untangling, unknotting, and layering of the tightness. So it's a very slow, interesting process. So we want to have some stillness, is what I'm saying, to sort of let that vibration be felt and just move and do what it needs to do.
And then when you're ready, come on up, please. And we're going to just come into an open square position. I'd like to have the left leg in front. So with both legs out, if you can bring the right leg in towards your body, and then place this left leg just somewhere in front of that right leg. So you have a square position, but nice and open. Yeah. Sometimes I do like to put a little something. I'm already on a blanket, but if you're feeling like this left ankle is pressing on the floor, it's always good, or if you like, just to bring something under this foot. So we have sort of an overall comfort as we get to dive in and explore the discomfort of where the body's resisting. So I like to have the hips nice and loose, the knees nice and loose for the open position, and then allowing the forward bend to be very, very gentle, that we're not trying to stretch anything out or push too deeply, but to just feel the as much subtlety in the lower back or wherever you're feeling it as possible. And then if you feel like you've come to a good depth, but you're having to hold your upper body weight, get a blanket or a bolster or a pillow and just rest your arms on it so you can really sink into it. A rounding and a curving of the back so we can let those muscles relax as much as possible. And one of the reasons I like to emphasize this compression and release, and for us to really appreciate it, is because what I've come to understand is that it's not just unique to a yoga practice where we're concentrating on the living matrix, the fascia of the body. As far as I can tell, this compression and release is essential to every aspect of our life. So here we're emphasizing the fascia, the ligaments of the body, if you will, and de-emphasizing the muscle. But if we were doing exercise, yes, then we would be emphasizing the muscle. We would want to compress the muscle and release. We wouldn't just compress, we wouldn't just release. Same thing with our, our emotional content. We want to find a balance in our hearts where we can express challenging emotions, where we can express things that have been building up, whether it's frustration or fear or anger. But we don't want to stay in that place. We also want to release it and feel joy and laughter and safety. Same thing with our psychology. We want to be able to focus our mind, very precisely. We want to be able to use our intellect for the powerful tool that it is, but we don't want to only do that, or we'll become exhausted. So we want to be able to focus. Let's call this the compressive aspect of our intellect, use it, and then release it and just, watch cartoons or something, or go for a walk, or whatever it is that releases the intellectual, the concentration aspect of the mind. And we can look at any aspect and see that a healthy relationship with compressing and releasing is essential to our well-being and our sense of harmony. And even within a single asana like this, if the compression begins to feel it's distracting you, it's not quite right, it's starting to hurt in a bad way, very, very good to just release it. Very good to just let the body know you're very in tune with it. Time to release, to relax, to open, listen to what the body needs, and then if appropriate, go back into the compression. So all of this compression and release, we think of it as a pendulum. Pendulum goes to an extreme, to a certain edge, and then inevitably it goes back, and it goes to an extreme, to an edge, and it goes back. And how you pendulate in your body, in your heart, in your mind, in your life is unique to you, and it's always changing. Good. So let us come on up from here. And I'm hoping that we have that left leg forward. So we're rolling up from the forward bend. And now we'll just, for a moment, we're just going to let both legs extend out. Yeah, maybe sway a little bit. And let's keep the right leg extended out in front, about hip width distance, but very relaxed. So we're not holding any muscular tension from the quadricep. And then draw that left foot in and place it along the inside of this right leg. And you can just let the knee drop to the side. If it needs support, whether it's knee or hip or something else, feel free to support it. If it can just dangle, or if the thigh is holding it, that's fine. And then the same quality of entering into the forward bend. We're not trying to get the forehead to the foot. We're more trying to bring the head down to look at the belly button. but not necessary to practice navel gazing. That's a whole nother class. So if you happen to see your navel, you can just check in and say hi, but you don't need to stare it down per se. And again, I encourage you to hold this space for yourself as an exploration. So we don't need to set a physical agenda of I wish I was more flexible. I wish this pain would go away. Whatever arises is arising in the flow of the river, and the river is just flowing. So whatever arises, just be interested in it, just be curious about it, just explore it. I mean, most of us, along the way, some of us get glimpses of this, is that the body and the mind is not what it really appears to be. And we have so many beautiful metaphors in our world for that. We go to sleep at night and we have these, incredibly vivid and real dreams that we're convinced are about this and real, and we're going to fall in the hole or, kiss the prince or whatever the dream is. And then we wake up and it's like, whew, wasn't about that. And so this is what we're exploring. We're exploring the actual nature of yourself at a very deep level. At the level of your flow. At the level where the flow of the river, the flow of your life, and the flow of your body mind is just one thing. That's the meditation.
Good. So let's emerge from here nice and slowly. And just one more thing we're going to add on to this before we transition. So as you roll up, let's keep the right leg exactly where it is, but let's take the left leg, the one that's bent, and open it up and just bring it around back. So we're opening the knee and tugging on this left hip. Yeah. So we're just kind of opening it almost as if you were going to do a split, but you're not quite ready to do a split. And we don't want to put that much compression on the left hip. So we're just opening this left leg out and back. If you are tilting to the right, put as much as you need there to lean on. We want to try to come forward a bit here. So some bolstering to the right, maybe you're good with it having it on the left side of the leg, just so we can, again, curve the lower back here and relax into it. And of course, if you don't need the bolstering, you can just maybe come to your forearms or, sink into this. But again, don't let the left hip get too tight, just a slight tugging. And this is the position. Yeah. So we're doing, we're connecting the hips with the right leg hamstring. So we don't want to force anything. Yeah. This living matrix system just simply will not be forced. It's way, way too smart for that. I mean, it is the system that is woven into and connected to every single one of the systems in your body. So to really slow down with a quality of exploration and really feel into it. We want to go beyond good and bad, or right or wrong, or hurts or doesn't hurt, comfort, discomfort. We want to feel that this is a system that is really our aliveness, living matrix. And it's woven and connected and informing and pulsating and vibrating, and this electromagnetic energy. So this is why we don't force, because the system won't be forced, and we want to learn from it. We want to sit with it. We want to explore it. We don't want to think we know better, because we don't. The intelligence of the body is far beyond any information we could hold in our brain. And this is one of the primary functions of pain. Honoring pain as a teacher. If we begin to force, the sensation will morph into a pain that can be very, very direct, saying no, not good, too far, too much. If we back off and relax and hover and lean at just the right level of compression, then the same sensation that was saying pain, ow, bad, will say, oh, this is fine. Let's open up and go deeper. Let's explore. Now we feel safe. Now we can keep easing in. Good. So let's come on up from here. And let's just hope there's a little break from all these forward bends. And yes, there is. So if we can take that back leg and bring it forward, good. And then what I would like to do is I would like to take the large bolster, if you have it. This time it will be vertically placed. If you don't have the large bolster, then just place a couple of pillows or stacked blankets at about the height of this bolster, because we want to support the whole torso, including the head. So whatever you have to build to replicate the bolster, this height and this length. And we want to tuck it very snugly into the lumbar area. So same place we were with that roll, only now we're, instead of this direct compression, the compression is more coming from the curve, and this is what we want. This is a little bit too much, maybe. Sit on something, sit on a blanket, elevate the hips up. When you bring the head back, if you're feeling like the neck needs some support, again, try not to just the back of the head, but maybe something under the neck would be better. And then once you feel upper body is good, stable, everything is set and supported, then let the legs relax out. Little bit past the hips, arms just wherever they're most comfortable. Make sure that you're completely warm. We want to be able to relax if you need some covering. Covering is always a good idea. And if we truly want to cultivate a quality of exploration for this thing that we're calling the body, then we want to take all of our thoughts about the body, all of our memories about the body, and just put them aside. We're not trying to get rid of them. We just want to put them aside. Same thing for our sense of self-image. The self-image that you feel is reflected from other people, the image that you see in the mirror, the image that you cultivate, yes, with your clothing and your hair and your dress. And so we want to take all of that self-imagery and, again, put it aside. We're not trying to get rid of it, but we want to put it aside. Then
we come into the sensations that we're feeling, the vibrations that we're feeling, without superimposing thoughts, memories, or self-image, and see what's there. And I know that most of us have a very strong embedded belief that the mind is capable of this level of exploration, but it's not. The mind is just a collection of thoughts. So you've been collecting these thoughts for your whole life, and you bundle them up and then superimpose them on what you think the body is. And then there's this relationship between the mind knowing better, the mind having dominance, and the body saying, well, okay, this is what I must be. So what we're saying is, let's just let that go for this brief amount of time to really explore what is the nature of what you're feeling. What is the nature of what you can feel tingling and vibrating? And just see what's there. It's open for a very beautiful, personal, deep sense of exploration. Slowly breathing the purity of aliveness. And when I say that the mind is nothing but thoughts, just a collection of thoughts, uh, try not to use another thought to judge this, whether this is true or not. And again, we don't want to get rid of our thoughts. We don't want to get rid of our mind, but we can just witness it. So whatever the thought is, from profound and beautiful and insightful to rather mundane, possibly ridiculous. I have quite a few of those a day. Just watch them. Don't try to get rid of them. Just watch them. Observe, witness, watch your thoughts come and go. This is all they do, is they come and they go. And from that watching, from that distance of watching, you start to see that there's some space there as well. The thoughts are not connected like a long rope. The thoughts are more like bubbles. I don't know if they're catnip bubbles, but they're more like bubbles, and they appear and then they poof, they're off, and then one appears, but there's space between these bubbles. And we can start to relax into that space. We can see that the mind doesn't have to be this complicated labyrinth. It can just be thoughts, and they come and they go. And we have such a powerful capacity to relax back and just observe them, not judge them, let them be. Simply being present with your breath. The breath as presence, and presence as breath. Good. So you can slowly put your feet on the floor and just kind of stabilize that lower area. And then just whatever intuitive movement. I like to bring my knees up to my chest slowly, maybe one at a time, but in this position, be careful of the balance. So especially if you're on the bolster, pillows may be more supportive. But whatever you need, we're going to just take a brief respite here before we continue that forward bending. So a little wiggling, a little swaying, knees up or not, rolling off of it, curling up. Just take some time before we move on here. And again, just being as aware as you're able to of these micro shifts in your energy. sort of, it can be very, very palpable, from the compression and the discomfort to the release and the openness. And that also may have a flavor of discomfort. But again, we're not trying to judge it. We're not trying to superimpose our thoughts or memories or self-image on the experience. We're just trying to feel the experience and let it guide us. And basically, in so many ways, this practice is about fundamentally changing our relationship to discomfort. That's one of the key factors in whether we incorporate suffering in our body, in our mind, in our life. Incorporate discomfort in our body, in our mind, in our life as suffering or not, is our relationship to the discomfort. We either see it as an adversary and something to be overcome, or we see it as a very profound teacher, and we open to its guidance and almost dance with it, almost welcome it, because it's got something to teach us. It's got something to point to. Okay, so let's come on up, please. And let's go do the other side of that forward bend. So this time, very simply, we're just going to bring the left leg in towards the body first. So it's tucked in front, and that right foot leg out front. Again, open square. If you want some support under this leg, feel free to. Keep the hips and the knees nice and relaxed, and start to come forward. Really from the upper spine first, shoulders, head, neck, and then start to feel that, oh yes, my spine is this articulation that I can actually feel if I slow down enough to feel the vertebra. It's not just a hinging and a throwing my body into something, that I'm working with this very delicate upper, middle, and lower and sacral spine area. So come into the forward bend appropriately, find a depth, support yourself, and just relax. This is somewhat of a distinction that I'm making, that's up
to you to explore. I explore it in my own practice, and it's just quite fascinating. It's quite fascinating to be able to open up a layer of exploration that no teacher, no book, no method, no spiritual practice can take me to. It's just direct. And so this distinction that I'm suggesting is that what we simply call our mind is nothing more than a collection of thoughts. And we're adding to that all the time. What I'm calling the unconscious is the depth of this living matrix, that the living matrix that is ubiquitous in the whole body, that is conducting and generating the life force itself, contains this wisdom that is really running the show, is keeping your systems alive, healthy, and in balance. So we can't think our way into this system. It's unconscious. It's doing its job on its own, because we would be overwhelmed if we had to run the kidneys and the spleen and the heart and the digestive system and the brain. We couldn't do it. So this is the distinction, is to certainly appreciate our collection of thoughts. It's like any collection that we enjoy. We have our memories, and we have our hopes and our dreams. We have our intellectual prowess, if you will, but it's just simply a mechanism. And if we're using that to try to go deeper into the essence of who we are, the true essence of our healing, the true essence really of the nature of ourself, then we're going to be limited. We're going to just simply either keep refining or layering image and thought and image and thought and image and thought, and that's all we have. So this distinction I'm making is to allow yourself to relax into the flow, in this awakening that there's nothing missing, there's nothing broken. We can just simply trust that wisdom of the body, the wisdom and intelligence of the living matrix, is the life force, is the wisdom that guides us.
So let us come on up from here.
And then the same thing, we're going to open up both legs, have a little wiggle or wobble. And this time we're going to keep that left leg extended, bring the right leg in somewhere along this left leg, so the sole of the foot, support the weight if you need to on that right leg, and come back into the forward bend. Slow, 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 careful, mindful, relaxing. We're not trying to compress muscle. We're trying to relax muscle and compress into the denser areas that tug and pull, and we can kind of feel them. So really lean into the felt sense of when your body starts to react to this upper body weight. And this is it is a rather significant shift if you grasp what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that the mind, primarily deals, we could just call it duality, right and wrong, good and bad,
all of the duality, the mind itself, the intellect is so brilliant at dealing with. But that's very different than trusting. So when we start to come upon our awakening, our understanding of ourself as not a part of the cosmos, not an aspect of the flow, but the flow itself, the cosmos itself, this takes a tremendous amount of trust. So this is not good or bad. This is not am I not? Am I good enough? Am I not good enough? Do I have enough information? Do I have enough spiritual practice? This is simply about trusting that we are already that. Nothing is missing. Nothing is broken. And when we start to trust that and experience that, then we get to be creative. We get to be playful. We get to be whatever it is we want to be. And you may say, well, Will, what does this have to do with a yoga pose? And what this has to do with the yoga pose is that we are bringing our attention to the body, but as I suggested earlier, not the body as a collection of thoughts, not the body as a sacredly held self-image, but the body as pure vibration. The body as this electromagnetic energy, call it what you want. When we start to let go of the labels, the habits of self-imagery, and we really explore what is it? What is this body that I can feel these sensations that really don't have a name, that I can't find a boundary between what I'm feeling and what I'm feeling and what I'm thinking? Then we're getting close. So it has everything to do with the yoga pose, because the yoga pose is the container. The yoga pose is your sacred space to explore these things, not to take my or anyone's word for it, but to see what's there. What is a thought? What is a sensation? What is an emotion?
Good. So let's come on up from here.
And same thing, we're going to come from this lovely forward bend with the right leg bent in. We're going to open it out, scoop it around back. And again, only opening it till you feel a little bit of tug in the right hip this side, leaning to the left, bolster up, leaning a little bit to the right. You can bolster up on the right side, or just come, you could just even come down to your forehead if that works for you, but that's a lot of open hamstring. So just try to make yourself, comfortable within the awkwardness of this pose. It takes a little bit of time to sort of, urge the body to relax with the hips and the extended legs so, so tight for most of us.
Carl Jung said, in all chaos, there is a cosmos. In all disorder, a secret order. So this is what we explore in a yoga asana. In all chaos, there is a cosmos. In all disorder, a secret order. Good, so let us come on up from here, please. Bring that back leg around. And let's now take a longer rest, since we sort of went from thing to thing there. So just make yourself comfortable. Yeah, whatever is most comfortable, and we'll take a rest here. And again, my suggestion, actually not my suggestion, the suggestion of yoga is to leave your thoughts alone. Don't try to, slow them down. Don't try to change them. Don't try to get rid of them. Don't try to refine them, but simply see if you can observe them. See if you can be a non-judgmental, impartial witness to your thoughts. And then just be patient and notice if there is a shift. Notice if there is space. Just notice what you notice. In yoga, this is called going behind the mind. So the mind is this collection of thoughts, collection of imagery. We're going a bit behind that to simply observe it. This can be, very powerful medicine, this, empowering the witness. So just as it's quite obvious that we, walk around with stiffness and aches and discomfort and limited range of motion, so that we, are open to a system that can allow us to become more supple, more flexible, more healthy, more flow in the physical body. So if we ever notice that a thought has caused us anxiety, or a thought has caused a confusion or suffering, then isn't it worthwhile to examine what a thought is? If we're willing to examine what the body is, why not be willing to examine what a thought actually is? So this is just a lovely, just a lovely practice. It's simple, but powerful. This little passage, I've been reading this it's considered the oldest Gita in existence. They say it's like 7,000 years old. I'm not so sure about that, but it's called the Ribhu Gita. Very, very beautiful. And I'm just going to read you this short passage. However, the translation from the Sanskrit, when they use the word sin, it's not typically the same connotation as we use it in the West. It really just signifies ignorance. Just a little note. So this is just a short passage from the Ribhu Gita. Mind indeed is the worldly existence. Mind indeed is the mandala. Mind indeed is bondage. Mind indeed is sin. And I love the thinking of that mind is mandala. We think of what a mandala is and the complexity and the labyrinth quality of it, to think of the mind that way. Okay, so let's see. I think that's a good rest. Let's come on up and let's get the large bolster if you have one. And if you don't have one, then fold up a nice substantial blanket. So you just make a nice pad with it, a nice block-like pad. So it basically, it's just a tiny bit different. I prefer the bolster, but if you don't have one, pretty similar. I folded this blanket, so it's pretty much the same height as a big bolster. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to show it with the bolster, but you can use this, and I'll show it with this as well. So we're going to do a supported fish pose that we often do. So if you have the big bolster, we're just going to sit up on the end of the bolster and then come down to your forearms and slide the other end of the bolster. So we're coming vertically here. We're sitting on the bolster, laying the whole length of the spine, placing the other end of the bolster right up into the shoulder blades or a tiny bit below. So the back of the head must be on the floor. And then your choice, if you want to keep snuggling down and get the shoulders on the floor, you'll just find that sweet spot where it's just opening the rib cage, yeah, exposing the pericardium of the heart to soften a bit. Yeah, so typically I'll just put the back of my head on the floor, stay here for a minute or so, and then maybe wiggle down and get my shoulders down. But you can kind of find that spot for you. And then this, if you don't have the big bolster, then just take this pad that you've made and place it in a similar place. Let me see if I can articulate what the difference is. So again, we'll put the pad so it goes under the shoulder blades, or no, maybe up on the shoulder blades. Yeah, because that was straining my lower back. Yeah, so a little bit of the shoulder blades. Yeah, so I don't know, there's not much difference. It's all just to provide height, compression, support. So we can work with blankets and towels and pillows as well as the bolstering. You can let the legs open a little wider, let the arms be super comfortable. So you're just like, again, feeling this, feeling and appreciating and letting the compression seep in. So we're not, fighting it or wishing it wasn't there, but we're receiving the compression and starting to understand that it's enlivening and affecting the living matrix of the fascial system, the connective tissue. Oh, yeah.
And if you've not extended your legs out, it's really nice for your hips just to let the legs relax out. You can open them a little bit wider than the hips to kind of tease open the sacral area a bit. And part of the relaxation is to allow ourselves to be available to extraordinarily sensitive insight. So, not necessarily insight that is linear or intellectual, but an insight that can arise from this living matrix that can be part of your guidance system, be something that wants to alert you to something, to teach you about something. To inspire you about something. And so in a way, we are weaving or recognizing this intimate relationship between relaxation and clarity. So nothing to do, no place to go, no one to be, no agenda, but simply cultivate and empower this witnessing energy, this witnessing presence, relax and allow this clarity to be grounding. Clarity is really ground zero. So we're not interested in new information. We're available to this extraordinarily sensitive insight.
And when yoga suggests not being interested in new information, this is particularly powerful because what it allows us to then relax into this sensitivity that I was talking about, this sensitive insight that I was talking about, is a deeper appreciation and a direct recognition of just simply what is. So instead of continually being in this trap of having to relive the past and reevaluate the past and project into the future and have this anxiety that comes from this trap, we get to sit with, we get to live with, we get to experience just what is, because that's all that there is what is, our direct experiential field. And it's not that we have to shut off the past or shut off the future, but we can then use them creatively. We're not stuck in this trap. We're not stuck in the anxiety of this back and forth, the unreality of the past, the unreality of the future. We get to sit with the reality of what is. Then we can make informative, creative, useful decisions if we need to project. Yes, we need to make a plan. Yes, we need to go back to that thing we learned yesterday or 10 years ago. But the ground of being, the seat of ourself, our awareness, is only with what is. And so this is the beauty of having a practice that is not about getting more information, but cultivating this this sensitive insight, this seeing that trap, knowing it's a trap, and alleviating ourselves from it. So it's so beautiful. And it's just a recognition that this is the awakening. It's not fancy or mystical or difficult or esoteric. It's not even spiritual. It's just what is. So good time to probably start coming off of this. If you're using the bolster, this is pretty nice to bring the knees up. So depending on your capacity, what I like to do, especially after being on this for so long, first of all, really take your time. There's no rush, but to bring your knees up to the point where that end of the bolster is really now pressing. So I'm coming into a forward bend, and now that end of the bolster, you have to watch your balance, obviously, but you're kind of pressing into that mid back a little bit more. And then you can choose to stay here for a bit and maybe stretch the legs and wiggle and start to soften. Or if you want to keep going and come into the snail and just come into the full forward bend, bending the knees, that's lovely too. I'm not sure how well this will work with the pad. I have a feeling it will work, but let's see. Let's see if we just have the pad. No, it doesn't work so well because you don't have the support under the hip. So if you're using the folded blanket, I wouldn't try anything fancy like that because we've been here for a while. So I would just roll off this, kind of moan and groan as you do, and then find a comfortable place. And we'll take a bit of a rest here. So just make yourself comfortable. We'll rest for a bit before we move on. I think one of the great benefits, at least in my practice, with starting to explore, just for myself, not based on any technique, but that my experiential field is all that there is that just as I was talking about the subconscious intelligence of the living matrix, that the connective tissue is brilliant beyond our comprehension because it's running everything. It has this intuitive intelligence. And whether we know it or not, we trust that. And we trust that when we eat food, it's going to digest. So I believe what I'm starting to see is this sort of larger matrix of life itself. And that when we see that the only reality is what we're experiencing, the only reality is what is, we can trust that as well. We can begin to see that, oh, I don't have to fix anything. There is nothing missing. I don't have to micromanage every moment of my life. I can begin to trust and relax, and things will unfold just as they will unfold. All I need to do is be present and trust that I am intelligent and I am loving, and that through being present with what's unfolding, the right thing will happen. And so this again is that minimizing our obsession with the past and our obsession with the future, and seeing that what is our experiential field is beautiful. It allows us to bring a vividness and a quality to our life that nothing else can. And furthermore, what I'm saying is that we can trust it. We can trust life. We can trust this matrix of the body, this matrix of the mind, this matrix of life. Okay, so let's come on up and let's come into a nice wide forward bend. So a straddle open, whatever your capacity is without overstretching the hips. We want to make sure the feet are not flexed, but just relaxed as much as possible. So this is a tricky one because of the hip. So you can certainly try to relax the lumbar area, but there's a little room to sort of stretch out a bit as well. So you don't want to just curl the lower back and not have any depth. So for me to come deeper, I need to almost pull out of my hips a bit. So kind of work this relationship between the lower back and the hips. And then wherever you land, your forearms are deeper or on a bolster or a bunch of pillows, just find that. So it's not just hamstring here, it's that sacral lumbar area and hips as well that you're kind of navigating. So where you bring the support is really unique to you. And again, you're not struggling with and you're not stuck in this position of compression. You're listening in a very nuanced way, whether you need to release a bit, you need to adjust a bit. And sometimes this can be, very, very slight, but it affects the body. So really remembering, and I think this is so important, that that you're having a unique experience, not just from everyone else, but for yourself, pose to pose, and yoga practice to yoga practice. So this is one of the reasons why we want to, break the habit of habitual responses. Like, oh, that means that I feel this, and no, we want to really settle into just the presence of what we're feeling, what is arising, so we can start to understand how unique it is, that our experience is not really describable, and that it is multidimensional, and that we're getting the feedback that we need right now at this moment. So this is the guidance, this is the self-guidance system, that we're getting this feedback and we're able to adjust and reevaluate and really embrace that it is always, in capital letters, always changing. And to be able to appreciate the reality of the experience that you are having. We're not just this mechanism that is been thrown here to try to get through each and every day. Having a human body is a very precious thing. Having a human body is a conduit for the entirety of consciousness, for the entirety of cosmos to express itself through us. No more or no less than the moon and the stars and the birds and the ocean and the dirt and the plants, and it's just an expression. It's a dance. And having this body is such an incredible gift that the cosmos itself, the universe itself, the divine presence itself gets to express through us.
And so let's come on up, and just for a bit, so this is a nice transition, and we won't hold this super long, but let's, as you come up from this, just bring the soles of the feet together in front of you and go into the forward bend. And as a matter of fact, I would suggest to put the bolster under the knees or a pillow or some blankets. So now we just can isolate. So we did all that earlier with the hips and a lot of the hamstring stuff. So really soften here, really feel the full weight of your upper body drawing you in, and just find a nice place. You don't have to push this, but just find a place where you can really feel where you are resisting and holding, and where the density is in the lumbar spine. So we're not just coming in a pose just to hold it and wow, there's a lot going on, but really allow your awareness to permeate and just really weave into what you're feeling in this lower back area. It has a tremendous amount that it can and would like to share with you. And again, this is just unique to you, not describable. So let go of any images that you have, any thoughts about this, and just allow your sense of self to permeate what you are feeling at the level of sensation.
Let me just say that again. So let your sense of self, and what I mean by this is that entirety of the universe expressing itself through you, let your sense of self permeate what you're feeling at the level of sensation.
Good. So let's come on up, please, if you will. If you want to, you're more than welcome to stay there as long as you would like. But we are going to take a rest now. So allow yourself to unfold, make yourself comfortable. You can either lie in Shavasana, you can counterpose if you'd like, or you could sit up with me and prepare to close our practice. Lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Namaste.